Well, hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you're coming to us from. Um, my name is Jesse Farley. I am a child care consultant with the Data and Information System Consultation Center, or better known as DISC. And we are here to talk about the CCDF IT Environment Scan. This is the first webinar talking about that environment scan, and we're very excited to be with you today and really appreciate you taking time out of your day to be with us. I am joined today by my co-presenters from DISC. I'm here with Donna Seymour and Ryan Berger, who are both represent our technology consultants here at DISC, and they'll be talking with you and going over some of the foundational information around the purpose and goals of the CCDF IT Environment Scan. We will have time for questions and answers, as well as for discussion at different points throughout today's webinar, as well as at the end of today's webinar. And we definitely encourage you to please use the chat box or the Q&A box within Zoom to ask any questions that you may have during this webinar, or you may ask questions verbally, either at the end of the presentation or at different stopping points throughout. This webinar is being recorded and it will be available following the conclusion of today's webinar. So taking us to the agenda for today's webinar, again, we are here to talk about our CCDF Information Technology Environment Scan. So today we're going to begin with a brief overview of the Data and Information System Consultation Center, since we are kind of the new kids on the block within the Child Care Technical Assistance Network. We're also going to define what the CCDF IT Environment Scan is, and we're going to discuss the purpose and benefits of the scan. We will then review information on who should complete the scan and how, and then we'll end by reviewing some of the upcoming communications and additional TA support for lead agencies as you complete the scan. And then again, as I mentioned, we will have ample time throughout this presentation and at the end of the webinar for any questions that you may have. So let's take a few moments here just to provide a very brief overview of DISC. So DISC is here to support CCDF lead agencies as they create better family and provider technology user experiences, increase access to CCDF and childcare, and achieve more equitable outcomes for children, families, and providers. Now, there are many aspects to achieving these goals, and IT systems are often central to those efforts. Data and IT systems are tools for supporting the delivery of childcare. And these systems can support everything from enrollment and eligibility determination to managing licensing. And it's very important to approach all of these pieces holistically and comprehensively so that your CCDF policy goals, performance, outcomes, and the experiences of families and providers are aligned. These needs and experiences of the families and providers using the systems should be integrated into their design so that they improve the experiences of the people at the center of your CCDF program. Now, DISC was established to support lead agencies as you think about upgrading, modifying, or procuring new CCDF data and IT systems, and we're a member of OCC's Child Care Technical Assistance Network. Now, we understand the importance of enhancing IT systems while administering the CCDF program simultaneously to support your implementation of the 2024 CCDF final rule, which ultimately also enhances outcomes for children, families, and providers. DISC offers technical assistance in multiple ways. The first is our webpage, where you can access our IT Resource Clearinghouse, which is full of articles and resources related to different aspects of information technology. DISC also offers informational webinars and peer-to-peer events, such as our IT Matters series, which we had the first one of those last week, and we'll continue those on. And that gives lead agencies a chance to come together and have conversations with each other about various IT topics related to CCDF administration. Also, beginning this winter, we will be offering intensive consultation to lead agencies to develop and implement IT strategic roadmaps. We'll talk a little bit more about the connection between the CCDF IT Environment Scan and IT strategic roadmaps later during this webinar. And finally, DISC aligns with and expands on some of the ACF strategic plan goals, such as advancing equity, taking a proactive approach to ensure that data can help support a continuous quality improvement process and high quality programming for families, and also enabling and promoting new and innovative uses of technology. The CCDF IT Environment Scan is central to these improvement processes as it helps you determine the existing condition of your data and IT system capabilities and priority investments for future improvement. Now, with that, I am going to turn things over to my colleague Donna to talk about the purpose of the CCDF IT Environment Scan and its benefits to you. So take it away, Donna.
Thank you, Jesse. And welcome, everybody. It's very nice to be here with you today. Let's talk a little bit about what an IT environment scan is and how it can help agencies accomplish their goals. Again, DISC understands how important it is to have effective data and IT systems that meet the needs of the CCDF administrators, of childcare providers, and most importantly, the families who are accessing quality and affordable childcare services. In order for agencies to enhance or improve their IT systems, the first step is to assess those systems and create a baseline where the agency is with their IT. An environmental scan is a process of self-assessing how IT and data systems are working for your agency and your customers or users. The scan helps you identify strengths and needs that can drive future decisions about your IT systems. Scans also create a baseline of the current functions performed by the IT systems. Some other examples of environment scans include patient portals that are used for assessing a patient's health and coordinating healthcare, assessing readiness of cybersecurity systems to prevent attacks and data breaches, and identifying IT strategies and emerging trends to inform IT business decisions. Scans are used in a variety of industries and businesses and can focus on entire programs and all IT resources or on specific projects and activities. Scans can also focus on specific components of data and IT systems, like cybersecurity. Scans can be used to determine the capabilities of data and IT systems in support of delivering their services, your program outcomes, and your organizational mission. Scans help identify specific areas or functions of IT systems that are not human-centered, need to be modernized, or creating other pressure points for your organization. They may also be limiting the power and impact of data to inform your decisions and outcomes. We know that IT environment scans are used in different ways. So what is the CCDF IT Environment Scan specifically? The CCDF IT Environment Scan is a data and IT system needs assessment for CCDF lead agencies. Lead agencies will answer questions about their data and IT systems across key IT topics, such as project management, data management, and analytics, and data sharing. Once completed, the scan provides the lead agency with a baseline of how data and IT systems are used to support families, providers, and lead agency staff. The baseline identifies what type of IT is in place and how satisfied the lead agency is with the IT they have. The content of the CCDF IT scan includes the important business functions of your CCDF program, These business functions can range from hosting a consumer education website or an eligibility portal for families, administering subsidy payments, monitoring of providers, providing data for reporting, and performing quality improvement activities. The scan is provided via the Qualtrics survey platform hosted by the Administration for Children and Families. It is a user-friendly application that can be accessed without the need for account creation and login credentials. We estimate that it'll take approximately an hour to complete the scan. Administrators can and should work with their IT partners and staff in order to respond. Additional time may be required to engage IT partners and staff in discussions or gather data to come to conclusion or inform their responses. We want to emphasize that while the scan is voluntary and you may complete as much of the scan as you are able to do or that is relevant to your specific program and data systems, you will get the most comprehensive perspective by completing all relevant portions. Individual and identifiable scan responses will not be shared across lead agencies, so we encourage your open and honest input on the ways in which your data and IT systems work well and support the CCDF program and where there's opportunity for improvement. DISC will provide your scan responses back to you, as well as summary level aggregate data. Because the scan is collecting this type of information for the first time, establishing a baseline is crucial for identifying and implementing improvements over time and understanding the IT priorities of lead agencies. But we want to be clear that no information from the scan will be used in monitoring compliance or grant allocation decisions by the Office of Child Care. While this year's scan is primarily focused on state and territory lead agencies, tribes may find it beneficial to participate in the scan as well. We want to note that additional opportunities to provide feedback on data and IT systems will be made available for tribal lead agencies. More information will be provided to tribes in the coming weeks about those opportunities. The overarching purpose of the scan is to illustrate how your data and IT systems are creating better user experiences, increasing access to childcare, and achieving more equitable outcomes for children, families, and providers. We know that we're asking you to share your valuable information, your knowledge and insights, and your experience, and in some cases to collaborate with data and IT partners beyond your team or organization. So we want to express in clear terms what some of the benefits of completing the CCDF IT Environment Scan will provide. Completing the scan will be a useful exercise for you to critically assess how satisfied you are with the current functionality of your IT systems and development practices, and whether your IT and data systems are meeting expectations and requirements. The scan results will benefit your program in other ways, like finding opportunities for collaboration with other lead agencies that may have valuable insights on effective technology uses in certain areas of the CCDF administration, or having a meaningful conversation with your data and IT partners about planned improvements. It will also provide a way to benchmark your current IT environment across multiple categories and see progress over time through annual updated scans. Information from the scan can be used by lead agencies to identify specific areas of your programs related to IT that may warrant additional investment, and will help you to think through how data and IT systems can support the delivery of affordable, equitable, and high-quality childcare services. Results from the scan will add to the understanding of how data and IT systems are currently used in the delivery of services. Information from the scan will help DISC provide timely and relevant technical assistance based on what lead agency needs are, so that we can best support improvement in these systems. And finally, with these initial baselines established, Lead agencies can continue to tackle the following questions around IT changes. How do you know what success looks like? How do you know you're on the right track? And in what ways will you measure how well the data and IT system upgrades incorporate human-centered design principles and improve the ways in which people interact with technology? What will you do if things don't go according to plan and you need to change course midway through the modernization process? In order to have a fully defined end state or vision of success, we also need to understand the current baseline so that we address change management along with technology upgrades to ensure that we account for everything that's needed throughout the journey and ensure that everyone has the opportunity to participate. This is what the CCDF IT Environment Scan is intended to do. Better data and information systems are critical to improving the experiences of families receiving child care services and providers delivering services. Some immediate benefits of completing the CCDF Environment Scan include identifying specific strengths and needs of your current data and IT systems. Where you identify strengths, you may be able to determine how to scale them up and increase the impact. And where you identify needs, you may begin focusing on specific improvements or investments. Completing the scan also helps the Office of Child Care ensure that the technical assistance provided is timely, that it's relevant, and it sets measurable and attainable goals. Thinking about your priority goals for CCDF and incorporating the changes of the 2024 CCDF final rule can provide some concrete examples of how the information collected by the scan can be used to identify areas for improvement. When it comes to enrollment and eligibility, navigating enrollment processes can be burdensome for families, particularly if they're required to travel for in-person or paper applications, rather than submitting online applications. These processes can be especially challenging for low-income families served by the CCDF program, in that families may not be able to alter their work hours or take time off from work for appointments. Online applications can ease the administrative burdens on families, provide faster and more accurate initial responses, and improve the overall experiences of families seeking childcare. Improving subsidy enrollment systems can reduce burden and increase equitable access to childcare subsidies among eligible families. That doesn't mean to state that, only online applications are needed, because some people may not have access online. So we want to make sure that we're looking at things from a holistic perspective. Many lead agencies are working diligently to provide searchable databases of childcare providers and identify available slots, their locations, the operating hours, and provide monitoring reports and credentials of staff and other information related to the licensure and operations of childcare centers. This provides relevant information to families and improves the customer experience while also supporting program integrity and maximizing available resources. Completing the scan will help you assess the role of data and IT systems in supporting your CCDF operations and quality activities. There's a lot of exciting work happening in the data sharing and data integration spaces. The scan results will help to identify emerging themes across technology and policy for us to better understand how lead agencies are maximizing available data and utilizing new financial resources, expand the availability of childcare services, and lessen administrative burdens on families, providers, and lead agency staff. One service DISC will provide to lead agencies is intensive consultation, which is an opportunity to work one-on-one with subject matter experts in IT systems, technology, data, and CCDF operations using an iterative human-centered design technique to develop and implement IT strategic roadmaps that reflect your unique data and IT needs. An IT strategic roadmap is a document that details the key goals, initiatives, and timelines, as well as dependencies and risk mitigation strategies for implementing and improving data and IT systems to meet CCDF requirements and goals. Roadmaps are developed to give leaders and everyone else impacted by data and IT systems an overarching plan, including how to choose between improvements to current systems or procurement of new systems. An IT roadmap can also be used for determining the technologies that are best suited to meet the organization's need and engaging in a planning process that is agile, human-centered, and that improves the experience for families and providers. Completing the scan will provide your agency an opportunity to determine if DISC-intensive consultation could be an additional asset in planning and achieving your IT and data system goals. If you already have an IT roadmap under development or have one completed, the scan can serve as a quality assurance tool to make sure that your roadmap or future improvements to data and IT systems are meeting the specific needs of CCDF. We want to note that all state, territory, and tribal CCDF lead agencies are eligible to apply for intensive consultation, which will be delivered in two parts. The first part is IT strategic roadmap development. CCDF lead agencies will submit applications to work with a dedicated team of DISC subject matter experts and consultants for up to 9 months to develop an IT strategic roadmap. OCC will select up to 25 lead agencies to participate in roadmap development. The second part of intensive consultation is called IT strategic roadmap implementation. Once the IT strategic roadmaps are developed, those 25 lead agencies can apply to receive ongoing support and consultation services from DISC experts for an additional up to 24 months to implement priority aspects of their strategic roadmap. More information on the DISC intensive consultation will be available this fall. And we will be speaking with you about that as that unfolds. So let's pause for a minute because that was a lot in a very short period of time. So before we continue, we want to take a moment and just see if there are any questions that you might have. Are there any questions in the chat? You can come off mute and ask your questions if you'd like to do that as well. Meredith, are there any questions in the chat?
Donna, yes, we did get something actually in the Q&A section,
Okay.
and I'll just read it to you. It gets to communication around resources. So the question is there any possibility of setting up, for example, a Slack channel for CCDF IT individuals so that we can more easily and directly share learnings and resources?
Have an answer for you on that today, but what I will do is take that back to the team and we can talk about that and then provide some information about that in the near future.
Great, Donna.
I think, certainly our goal is to help you to, have those conversations amongst the lead agencies. So we will take a look. If it's not a Slack channel, we'll try to look at other ways that we might be able to make those collaboration opportunities available as well.
It's great. And I'll put in the chat box again, the section of the DISC webpage that does have a lot of resources too. That's a place that exists where folks can go. We have another question about IT roadmaps, and are there examples of IT roadmaps we can share? And I know we've got a lot of opportunities coming up to talk more about that. So Donna, can you address that a bit? Thanks.
Sure. So we are finalizing what our IT roadmaps will look like. For IT roadmaps to be most beneficial, they need to be, a visual, right? They need to, you need to be able to see the sequencing of work that needs to take place and the timing, whether it's by month or by quarters, or, sometimes you get up, if your roadmap is and it is very extensive, it may be, even by year. But it needs to also connect to other things that are going on in your business. And so many times there's a text document that goes with that, just to make sure that everything is well connected and that you understand the timing and the considerations that you have to put in place. So we're in the process of working through what our documentation and what our visualizations will look like. And we will be able to share those in in future sessions with you.
That's great. We had another question, Donna, that asked about, let's see here, let me find this again. That asked about, will DISC be able to work with lead agencies that are already involved with a vendor? And could you talk a little bit about how DISC will be providing consultation to wherever lead agencies are at?
One of our goals at DISC is to provide consultation services to you that are most pertinent to you. So if you're working with a particular vendor, we're happy to do that with you as part of our intensive consultation. If there are particular challenges that you're facing, we will be able to advise you. What we won't do is to recommend a vendor for you, like if you're going through part of a procurement process, or we won't recommend specific technologies that you can use, which may draw you to a particular vendor, but we can advise you on things that you should consider when selecting a vendor, or things that you should consider when selecting technology. Our focus is going to be on the data and IT systems themselves, but we have also discussed how we could provide more, universal technical assistance that would help you consider things that you need to do in order to improve your relationship with your IT vendors and ensure that you've got the proper oversight of those IT vendors throughout this journey. So we do plan to provide some assistance in those areas as part of intensive consultation, as well as some of the other materials that we'll be producing.
Great.
And Meredith, we had a couple of things that came in as part of the original part of the webinar, or this part of registration, that I could address as well. We had one person ask about artificial intelligence safety, very hot topic for the day. And while that's not a topic for this current webinar, it may be a topic for a future webinar. And so I'd say be on the lookout for webinar announcements in those areas. AI is something that companies and federal agencies are looking at, about the safety as well as the bias that sometimes comes with AI. And so I would say, certainly look to your CIO organizations, your IT organizations for that, your chief information officers, and, make sure that you're collaborating with them when it comes to choosing new technologies, because they may be able to advise you. And then, if you have questions, I would say get with your state system specialists make sure that you pose your questions there, and then they can engage DISC as well for that kind of technical assistance. Another question we had was somebody very appropriately said, could we get a comprehensive dynamic glossary of IT and IT related terms and words? This is underway now and will be published to the DISC website in the near future. As you can imagine, it is a pretty extensive list. And sometimes, depending on the environment of, that you're in, different terms can have slightly different meanings. So we're making sure that we're getting that right so that it can be useful to everybody. And again, just watch the website there for future publication. So we had a third one that was, will the scan become a mandatory requirement for states? So I think we addressed that here in the webinar today, but while the scan is not mandatory for states, tribes, or territories, it's a crucial first step in baselining your current IT environment. So for all the reasons that we've discussed here, which are in your best interest, they also inform the TA that DISC can provide, because we want to make sure that the TA we provide is the most pertinent to your program and really meets your needs and meet your needs where you are. So that, it is important for us to get those responses to the scan. Any last questions in the chat, Meredith?
Yes, I wonder if
Okay.
we could address one more question. And Jesse, I think I'll address this one to you. We had some questions around the intensive consultation and how many lead agencies would be able to participate, and would it benefit small allocation tribes, for example. Could you talk a little bit about that and what's coming for folks on that topic?
Yes, absolutely. So when it comes to intensive consultation, there will be, I want to preface this by saying there will be a lot more information coming out in the next few months, but intensive consultation will be available through an application process beginning in the fall, and 25 lead agencies, up to 25 lead agencies, will be selected by OCC to move forward with developing that IT strategic roadmap. And as we move through that process with those 25 lead agencies, we'll then be working with those who want to move forward with implementing those IT strategic roadmaps. I also want to stress that the application for intensive consultation is open to all lead agencies, so that's states, territories, and tribal lead agencies, and it could definitely be beneficial to any lead agency, large or small. And same with the IT environment scan. Completing this scan can be beneficial in a lot of different ways. And I know that we're going to talk even more so as we move through the rest of this webinar about some of those specific benefits.
Turn things over to my colleague, Ryan Berger, and he's going to provide some specific examples of the types of information that can be collected through the CCDF Environment Scan. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you, Donna. And again, thank you to all of our attendees who are joining us today. It is really, really great to be with you. So we're going to spend the next few minutes previewing the sections of the CCDF IT Environment Scan, really so that you'll know a little bit more about what to expect when you receive your link to the Qualtrics scan in the coming weeks. So the scan has been developed to collect information on general data and IT system capabilities, the approaches you may be considering to incorporate the provisions of the 2024 CCDF final rule into your information technology, and also how you use data and IT systems to support various business functions, such as eligibility and enrollment, subsidy payments for providers and families, and consumer education. The questions in the scan are somewhat different between the general section, the CCDF final rule section, and the business function sections. So how these systems are developed and deployed will certainly look different across lead agencies and may even look different within the agency, depending on your organizational structure or the number of data and IT systems that are used and the types of internal and external software development and support that is provided. So whether a system is specific to CCDF or supports multiple programs in an enterprise fashion may also determine how you think about and respond to each question across business functions. So the first set of questions in the CCDF IT Environment Scan are general questions about your data and IT systems. So since this is the first time that the Office of Child Care has collected this type of data, we want to make sure that some fundamental information is collected about how data and IT systems support the delivery of child care in your lead agency. We're also interested in collecting information on some industry best practices, like connecting IT leadership to CCDF program leadership, strategically managing change to both program policies and technologies, and implementing cybersecurity protections. We believe that collecting information on these foundational components of your data and IT systems is important because it helps us to understand both the extent to which data and IT systems support the CCDF program, as well as your level of satisfaction with those systems. Some of the questions will look like the example on your screen, with a particular question or statement and 2 corresponding Likert scales. One scale will collect your response for your agreement or disagreement with a particular statement, and the other scale will collect your response for how satisfied you are with the current data and IT system. Not every question will look like this. Some questions will have a simple yes or no response option. Others will be multi-select in order to collect your future priorities. And others will even include free text so that you can describe specific data and IT initiatives within your lead agency. Some changes to the final rule, namely those prospective payments to providers, as well as presumptive eligibility, are hugely impactful, and they really increase the human-centered aspects of the CCDF program, really by making it easier for families to access childcare services. It's also intended to make it easier for providers to participate in the CCDF program. And these changes may also require lead agencies to carefully review application systems, eligibility forms and portals, enrollment systems, and financial data systems related to payment and subsidies. So these types of business functions might be centralized within a child care management system, or they might be spread across various systems in different governmental departments. Business functions might also be shared between the lead agency and external IT vendors and software providers. So these arrangements might require a change to contracts or service level agreements, software functionality, user interfaces and workflows, and even access rights and privacy settings. So collaborative and agile approaches to these changes can really help to ensure success as these changes are outlined and implemented. And we believe that the scan can be a useful tool to help you think critically about your planned changes and identify the key partners who should be engaged in these efforts. So the CCDF business functions that are included in the scan include eligibility and enrollment, subsidy payments for providers and families, consumer education, licensing and monitoring for providers, background checks, and quality activities, including provider staff development and certification. The scan uses similar sets of questions to collect information on the business functions that you see on the slide. You might be using data and IT systems to support some or all of these components of the CCDF program. The use of data and IT systems across these functions may be very different depending on whether they are supporting families, providers, or lead agency staff. They could also look different depending on which CCDF partners might operate the systems, such as a partner agency like child care resource and referral agencies. Because there is no one-size-fits-all approach to the CCDF program, we fully recognize that these functions will look differently across lead agencies, and the support of these IT and data systems could also be very different. As we mentioned earlier, a central benefit of the scan is to have an ideal end state or vision of success. And to do that, we need to currently understand our baseline as clearly as possible so that our change management and technology upgrade processes account for everything that is needed. We want to note that you might be using other data and IT systems to support CCDF, to do other things like report on family units holistically across programs and funding sources, or to support other business functions. But we're focusing on these functions and the systems that support them because of how critical they are to the delivery of CCDF and because of the expected changes to these functions following the release of the 2024 CCDF final rule. So we're using a standard set of questions across each of these business functions to better understand how data and IT systems are supporting various components of CCDF. what is working for you, and where there are areas for improvement. So the left column on your screen describes what some of the questions will focus on. As a quick example, we know that enrollment processes and eligibility criteria range widely from one CCDF lead agency to another. Similarly, the role of data and IT systems to support these business functions may look very different across states, territories, and tribal nations. So the application processes related to eligibility determination and enrollment are some of the most concrete ways in which data and IT design choices impact the experiences of families seeking affordable, quality childcare. So we want to better understand if these systems are accessible on mobile devices, if they're also accessible to people with sensory impairments, how data sharing supports a positive user experience by accurately determining presumptive eligibility, and other areas of interaction between families and IT systems. We also know that you are carefully considering subsidy payment rates and that you are relying on evidence, data sets, and corresponding research briefs, as well as other sources of data and documentation to help you through these critical decisions. We know that data and IT systems are important for implementing these subsidy payments in practice to both families and providers, and the accuracy and efficiency of these processes is a big consideration for childcare providers to participate in the CCDF program. And of course, the requirement of the 2024 CCDF final rule that limits the amount that families pay to no more than 7% of their household income may also entail additional data and IT capabilities to ensure that these co-payments are accurately and consistently applied. So across all business functions of the scan, we want to better understand what technologies and IT tools are used to support these aspects of administering the CCDF program, such as custom developed software, commercial off-the-shelf software, or low-code and no-code solutions that can be configured to meet your specific needs. Some of these priorities and ideal future states are shown on the right column of your slide. So we'll share another screenshot from Qualtrics just to provide a quick example. So this question specifically is asking about your eligibility and enrollment functions and the way in which any data or IT system used to support this function has been developed and operated in conjunction with other early childhood and childcare partner organizations, with local or regional partners, or in other ways. This question is single response and also allows for text responses that you can provide additional information in. So we continue to share a lot of information with you. We'll take a quick pause for questions and just want to, again, see if there are any questions that have come in through the chat or in the Q&A box. And again, feel free to come off mute and ask any questions you may have. So Meredith, we'll see what may have come in over the last couple of slides.
So we did have a question about whether the scan is predicated on a security standard, such as the NIST 800-53. Maybe you could, we could explain a little bit about what that is and answer that.
Sure, yeah. So the NIST standards have to do with cybersecurity frameworks. It's a great question. We definitely have questions in the scan related to cybersecurity. I would say that the scan itself is not necessarily predicated on a recommended framework, cybersecurity, or any other type of component or function. We've tried to pull in some obviously contextual and relevant pieces of the CCDF program, really situate them front and center in the scan so you can immediately relate to, the component of the CCDF program and how your data and IT systems support that given function. We're also pulling in some additional standard practices very commonly used in IT environment scanning, like Donna mentioned too a couple of slides ago, just the way in which you might approach, agile software development, continuous quality improvement, those types of short-term feedback loops. We're looking at a lot of industry and cross-sector standards and some, informed practices, evidence-based practices. But I think the shortest way to answer your question about the NIST standard is it's not predicated on a given standard, but we are incorporating it topically, cybersecurity, as well as other types of capabilities and functions.
Thanks, Ryan. And there was a follow-up to that. Is there a published framework?
Is there a published framework? I'm going to assume that that's a framework with regard to the scan. I think the short answer is yes. We are providing some additional documentation in terms of methodology and some additional guidance in terms of what the scan is intended to do. So I think for the purposes of that question, we'll give a quick answer of yes. I will acknowledge it's not yet published, but there is supplemental material that will be released in conjunction with the scan. Great
Thanks,
questions.
Ryan.
Yeah, no, of course. Thank you.
That
All right,
catches us up for now.
Perfect. Great. So now we'll discuss some of the steps that can help you complete the CCDF IT Environment Scan. So to start with the question, who should complete the scan? Donna mentioned this earlier. We estimate that it'll take approximately 45 to 60 minutes for each lead agency to complete the scan. We want to note that it may take longer to gather the data to complete the scan, depending on the knowledge of the respondents. So as we just mentioned through the previous slides, we understand that different business functions and responsibilities may not exist within a single office. So the scan will permit collaboration across offices, organizations, departments, partners, etc., by sharing the link with your colleagues or by reviewing and completing the scan through another collaborative effort, such as scheduling meeting time. So multiple respondents will be able to complete different portions of the scan on their own as necessary. We also want to note that you do not need to complete the scan in one sitting, and Qualtrics automatically saves your progress as you complete the questions in the scan. So the scan will be available both through a desktop browser as well as a smartphone, tablet, or other mobile device. We do recommend that the scan be completed collaboratively by the CCDF program administrator and/or program specialists alongside the IT specialist. So we want to ensure that we get the best information possible from the IT staff about your data and IT systems in comparison or in conjunction with the satisfaction that CCDF program staff also have with those same data and IT systems. As we mentioned, but want to reiterate, the CCDF IT Environment Scan is open to all CCDF lead agencies from states, territories, and tribes. And as mentioned earlier, additional opportunities to provide feedback on data and IT systems will be made available for tribal CCDF lead agencies, and more information will be provided to tribal partners in the coming weeks. So again, we want to acknowledge that different lead agencies will have different organizational structures, resources, IT partners, and other approaches to managing data and IT systems. So depending on your lead agency's mission and organizational structure, the IT department may be a standalone office, bureau, or department that operates and supports all programs and services at a state, territory, or tribal level. It may also be a part of the CCDF lead agency to provide direct support to the people who administer and deliver childcare programs and services. So for some lead agency staff and CCDF administrators, reviewing the scan questions, collecting information, and completing the scan in Qualtrics may take a collaborative effort. So for example, you as the CCDF administrator may be able to answer, let's say, about 60% of the questions in a single sitting, but you might want to discuss those levels of satisfaction that your data scientists, database administrators, or others might have with some of the technologies used to administer the CCDF programs. Perhaps you also want to check in with your website management team that sits in another department or office, but who might have crucial insight into the usability of your consumer education website. Maybe you also have some external software providers and IT vendors that support document management or fiscal administration who understand the specific pressure points of your subsidy payment systems. So in these types of examples, you may choose to discuss and collaborate with several partners in order to complete the scan. We believe that this effort can also serve as a useful checkpoint for how data and IT systems have been implemented and how well they are serving their intended purposes. For some other CCDF leaders, you might be able to complete the scan on your own in a single sitting. You might already work closely with your data and IT partners, or maybe you've just gone through a recent procurement or modernization effort and have been thinking about the extent to which your data system implementation, meets your satisfaction, as well as has attained some of your technology goals. So however you choose to complete the scan on your own or with colleagues and partners in a single sitting or over a period of time, we want to make sure that the scan works in a way that works best for you and in a way that really helps you to consider how your data and IT systems are working to support the delivery of quality, accessible, and affordable childcare, and where there's also room for improvement. So following completion of the scan, several TA opportunities and written materials will be made available to you. So once DISC receives the scan results from CCDF lead agencies, we'll be working quickly to provide individual copies of your scan responses back to you, as well as summary level aggregate data that helps you to better understand how the functionality, capabilities, and satisfaction of your own systems relate to other CCDF lead agencies. This is just one of the ways that your participation in the scan helps to understand the CCDF data and IT landscape, along with your strengths and opportunities for improvements. You can use this to drive conversation and communication with your partners to maybe communicate existing pressure points in your data and IT systems. And of course, the scan will help inform how we as DISC provide overall support as you continue to think about how to implement the 2024 CCDF final rule through both simultaneous changes in technology, program design, policies, and regulation. So as we near the conclusion of our webinar today, we wanted to talk about some upcoming scan events. DISC will be available to support you while the scan is open for completion. We anticipate the scan will be released on August 7th, and survey links will be unique to each of your lead agencies, and all responses will be held confidentially. We then have part 2 of our series of webinars on the scan that are going to be held on Tuesday, August 13th. And during this time, DISC will provide a demonstration of the survey platform functionality. We'll preview some of the reports that may be shared back with lead agencies who complete the survey, and also be available to answer any questions about the scan. Also, during the period when the scan is open for responses, we have open office hours scheduled on August 14th, August 28th, and September 11th. And these times are available for you to ask anything about the CCDF IT Environment Scan, such as Qualtrics functionality, your engagement with IT partners, or providing responses to any of the questions in the scan. Lastly, as the scan closes on September 20th, DISC is available via email for any individual support that may be helpful to you. So as we wrap up the webinar, we just wanted to discuss these next steps regarding the release of the CCDF IT Environment Scan. So on or around August 7th, you will receive 2 emails. One will be from the Office of Child Care to the email address that you have on file in your role as CCDF administrator. If you are not sure that your email is up to date with OCC, please take a moment to confirm that you were signed up to receive OCC announcements, particularly if you are new to your role. The email will share information about the purpose and goals of the scan, as well as upcoming TA activities, like part 2 of the scan webinar and office hours that we just described on the previous slide. There will also be a brief informational flyer about the scan that you can share with your data and IT partners to really let them know about the scan in a quick and easy way. And the second email that you will receive will be from Qualtrics with a link to the CCDF IT Environment Scan. This will be unique to your lead agency, and the hyperlink will include the domain name survey.acf.gov. As we mentioned earlier, no sign-in is required to access the link. There will be some short form fields to identify the names of scan participants before you begin the scan. And again, this information is only used for analytical and reporting purposes, will not be made public in any way that would allow your responses to be known to anyone else. And please email disc@klscottassociates.com if you do not receive these 2 emails or have technical issues accessing Qualtrics. So thank you for your time, your participation at today's webinar. Let's take a few minutes and see what questions you may have and discuss how DISC can support you in completing the CCDF IT Environment Scan.
We did have a question come in. Will DISC be presenting the same presentation to tribes? So Ryan, maybe you could talk a little bit about what tribes can expect. Thank you.
Sure. Great question. Yep. So we will be making this presentation available, the slides and the recording to the DISC website in the coming weeks. It's, of course, accessible by tribal CCDF lead agencies. The current plan is to engage tribal CCDF lead agencies, not just through the scan, but through some additional mechanisms. Things like focus groups or listening sessions may be a useful tool. We're still working with the Office of Child Care to define our specific approach, but we want to make sure that given not just the number of tribes, but also the way in which the 2024 CCDF final rule impacts tribes of small, medium, and large allocations, that we're making sure that the conversation around data and IT systems is as relevant and as contextualized as possible. So we will, of course, be engaging in some other ways with our tribal partners, as with both state and territorial CCDF lead agencies. Participation in the scan is completely voluntary. There's nothing that's mandatory about completing the scan. Again, there's a lot that we hope to glean by way of information and setting a baseline and providing you with your own kind of critical assessment around your data and IT systems, but 100% of the scan, your participation in this is completely voluntary.
Thank you, Ryan. That's all the questions that we see to date at this time. So this is great timing for our next step with the poll.
Great, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. At this time, a poll has been launched. It does have 4 questions. We would appreciate your time if you could go ahead and answer the poll for us. If it did not pop up for you, it could be that your Zoom application is not updated, but that's okay. If you want to send us something in the chat or the Q&A of your responses or your thoughts about this webinar, we would appreciate it. All right, thank you, everyone. We're going to go ahead and close the poll as we are at 100% participated, and the meeting will be closing in about 15 seconds. Thank you for joining us.